in order to reach local environmental solutions to the humanitarian problems that most of the remaining families in Syria suffer from. Met in Turkey and Istanbul at Hilton Bosphorus Hotel. A number of the Druze community around the world to establish SINDIAN Foundation developmental. As they discussed in the organization's future role and possible in solving these problems. And on top of these, lack of availability of all kinds of energy crisis, especially oil derivatives, who run out of fuel stations. It is no longer available to run their vehicles. Agricultural also no longer exist for heating. Not ever the means of transport to get it where he became scarce and difficult. At the time dominated the market non-refined oil, or what called al-dash mazad. Global solutions. At the global level, most of the world leaders meeting at the climate summit in France, in the time which the world facing significant challenges due to the pollutions, where they recognize to support the projects that accelerate the global transition process to the green energy, as a substitute for the fossil oil. The access to oil faces major security and environmental challenges. And with the inventory shortage and increasing demand, price rises. The dynamic alternative which can be used as a fuel source on the industrial scale and with high production capacity is the algae. The algae use the sun and carbon dioxide and nutrients to grow. In conditions under control, the algae can reproduce several times a day. The selected algae can produce 50% oil and 50% biomass. It can be converted fuel products. This is what makes algae one of the more energy sources, value and sustainability and renewal. The oil production from algae is universally known. And because it is universally known, several countries severed treaties for sake of its production. How to produce algae? The production and cultivation of algae is very easy process. It need 4 basic factors to increase the amount of production. It is light, temperature, water quality and the continuation of the movement of water. Algae can be produced in small plastic tubes. If the algae will used for food and not for fuel, you must use clean water. It can also producing the algae by using concrete ponds. Filtering algae may be by primitive means, where it filtered on more than one stage, and then squeeze it and extract as a food. All pots suitable for the production of algae, provided that the light and continuous movement of water. It can be prepared as well as drilling and industrial with nylon encapsulated to give the same result but in large quantities. Industrial basins dedicated to production of food algae. In cold times it may be used the plastic houses for the prompting the appropriate heat to accelerate the large-scale production process. We must not forget that the surface of water moving is a vital necessity for the fair production. The algae can be grown in large aquarium or natural lakes. We can also take advantage of the natural swamps. Compared to the cost of production of biofuels industrially and homemade, the following model represents an integrated project for the production of algae. The production of algae. Stages of algae constituted. 7 days is enough to algae become ready for harvest. It is harvested by filters and filtration for several times. After the algae collect, you can determine the end use you want them, as food or industrially. The extraction from the lakes also going through the stages of collection and double nomination. But the ample production makes it worthwhile. Especially the algae does not stop their reproduction in the early stages of harvest. In order to facilitate the production of algae for industrial purposes, the idea of advancings related have found, whatever the production environment, the algae must be subjected to filtering more than one way and to several times, because the filtering water will reproduce a new algae. Even if the liquidation process at home using a cloth as a filter, still they rely on the resulting water to reproduce algae is preferring. Because the precise algae organism still alive inside and able to reproduce quickly. The recent research with respect to extract biofuels find a more easily and innovative ways in algae analysis and extract the fuel from it and other products. The modern production line includes the algae breeding basin, which connected by pipe connected a tube of carbon dioxide and applied on it a low voltage. When the algae liquid passes from this tube, and under the impact of the carbon and the low voltage electricity, algae begin analysis in the large basin which the liquid crosses to it. After the analysis process, the water separated from the organic products, and the fuel remains on the surface to separate it in separated tank. This is accelerated photography to algae analysis process. We must warn against the use of the resulting fuel at this stage in the engines. It needs to be refining until it purified from impurities in wax, which cause damage to engines. But it only be valid and superior to the rest of the species as fuel for heating. Even the algae thought they're filtered and then dried, we can extract the oil from it, and then used as oil for food if the production conditions were clean, or oil for industrial uses as soap or fuel production also if the production environment was unfit for human use. The output of the dried algae are processed to extraction the oil. It is one of the most precious types of animal feed and the protein and nutrients beneficial. The algae fuel in the result have the efficiency increased of the fossil fuels by 30% with much less cost of production. For this, it will be the future of the world deservedly. SINDIAN Developmental took upon themselves to be the first initiators at the launch of this type of projects in the Middle East, and it began the first project in Turkey since September 2015, not only to find a strong sources of financing its future projects, but to have an active role in finding the better solutions for some aspects of the Syrian crisis. Not only that, but it will support the projects of this kind in the Syrian interior, in all areas of alternative energy. Its support includes studies and plans, training and funding. According to SINDIAN plan, the ability of its related projects will up to rate 30,000 baht at the end of the month of April 2016, to take in the increase in the summer where production conditions are much better. Also, SINDIAN plan for 2016 includes the establishment of the first biofuel production stations in Damascus countryside, in Homs and Aleppo, and in the south in Al-Suwaida, that can be created the target integrated station to production alternative energy, because it is outside of the circle of armed conflict currently. SINDIAN has been given the top priority to support the collective projects that benefit to the breeder slice of the target community with the project interest. Food uses for algae. The filtered algae which are produced using the clean water used for the manufacture of human food, it is often make the formation of algae spaghetti. After compressed and pulled on drying tables, under the sun rays to be ready for cooking. It can be used as kind of salads and soups. The flour of algae can be used in medicines and nutrients. The housewives creates the baked sweets and food flavorings. It is also a nutritious and delicious kind of the beverages with nutritional value.